All right, folks, my next guest played George's father, Frank Costanza, on Seinfeld. Now you can see him each week on King of Queens. Please welcome Jerry Stiller. So good to have you here. You know, I know you have this new show now. It's doing very well, but people still miss Seinfeld. I think they will for a while.
Well, that's nice too.
Yeah, can you give us a little Frank Costanza for old time's sake?
You really want to hear this?
Yeah,
really?
I think so. Just to give us a fix.
Certain things you do stick. You tell me what you think. Do you want a man's ear or do you call it a bro? And there was and of course there's the. Why did you trade Jay Buhner? That's
You can do these at parties now.
Yes. I mean, I don't even do Serenity now. I just leave that alone. Just kind of lay that until I get requests or something of that nature.
The character, actually, the whole Costanza family was very loud. How did that come about?
Well, how did they become loud? I think they were born loud, essentially. You know, it's a family that came from Queens and that nobody ever heard them. And Frank Costanza was a guy who had to be heard in his life. You know, he had to come out of his shell. I got in touch with what I call my inner rage. At least that's what my wife Ann Murray used to say. I was getting in touch with it. And you know, people today, when you get to a certain point in your life, things are not coming your way. You're on a fixed income, and you have kids who aren't doing exactly what you would wish them to do. They didn't turn out the right way. What else can you do but say, "You're crazy! You're out of my life! Get out of here! I don't want to talk to you anymore! You're dead!" Basically. And that's it.
Something everyone can identify with.
Yeah.
Now, you have a new show. You have a new show, King of Queens. It's doing very well.
King of Queens,
Tell us about the show.
Well, King of Queens is about a family in Queens, husband and wife, Kevin James, Leah Remini. I play the, what you call the worm in the apple, the father-in-law who moves in because I burned down the house.
And you have a clip here for us, something we can see?
Well, this is a clip that I come into the scene. I say this to Kevin and Leah. I said, this is something, I have something very important to talk to you about, and I show them this. This is what happens.
Okay, let's take a look at this clip from King of Queens.
You can do it!
Stop that! All of you, stop it!
Sit down.
No.
I played roles like that all my life, Rob. Look what happened to me, you know. You'll go play that. I'm sure.
You were talking about...
Enjoy my moment.
Yeah. You were talking about kids disappointing you. You have to be happy for your son, Ben. I mean, this movie's Something About Mary. Huge hit. And,
yes.
But there's some stuff in the movie that I think... We know Ben. He's come on the show a lot of times.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for him to sit in the screening of that movie? Because there's some adult themes in there. There's a very famous masturbation scene in that movie. You know, I mean, how did he handle being in the theater, you know, with you when that was screened?
Well, Ben, before Ann, Amy, and myself, they showed it in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, where the Farrellys live.
Right,
and
the directors, yeah.
Oh, it was quite an experience, you know. The people from Woonsocket turned out to see this movie, and there was people sticking out of their windows, doing all that stuff. Anyway, under the circumstances, bear with me. Ben warned me beforehand and says, Dad, you're going to be embarrassed by what you see, perhaps. And so he said, don't sit in the same row with me. So Ann and myself and Amy, we sat a couple of rows back. And sure enough, when the scene came on, where he came on and he did what we call the masturbation scene.
That's what it's now become known in literature as, yeah.
Well, this didn't bother me. What really bothered me is when he zipped up his fly and he hit his shamula. And that was the thing that got me. That's the part that bothered me.
Is that a medical term? I mean...
No.
We'll have to ask the good doctor when he comes out here in the next segment.
Well, I'll try to share this with the world. What happened, Shamla, when I lived on the Lower East Side, my parents did not really kind of give me any kind of information about sex. Essentially, I got my first sexual instruction, so to speak, or awareness was in the 6th grade. The teacher was reading Chaucer, and suddenly I felt this bulge in my pants, and I was 12 years old. I didn't know what it was. So at the end of the class, I went up and said, Miss Rosenblatt, I've got this. And she looked down and says, my God, you have an erection. I said, yes. And I said, it's very, very annoying. How do I get rid of it? And she said, that's not my department. She says, go downstairs and speak to the hygiene people. And I went down to see Mr. Tuttle. I walked in. He looked down. He said,
and you still had it at this point?
Wait a while. It's a long night. Let me tell you.
I'm impressed.
No. Well, okay. You have to understand. 12 years old, things were good.
Okay, so you go downstairs,
and Tuttle says, he looks down, he says, you got an erection. He says, yeah. He says, get the hell out of here. He says, I said, how do I get rid of it? He says, I can't help you. Go to the library, look it up. So it was the end of the day. I went down to the library. And you have to remember, I was still reading the book. Anyway, I went down to the library, and I went to the medical shelf, and I took down a book called The Anatomy of Sex by Havelock Ellis. And I turned to the chapter on erections. At that moment, there was a gong. It was a fire drill, and I didn't know what to do. I took the book, I stuck it under my jacket, and I walked out. Now, in the libraries, you had to go through a turnstile, you know?
Yeah.
And as I went through the turnstile, I hit my erection and it went away. Now, at this age and time in my life, every once in a while, keep this in mind, Rob.
I got you.
You too, Andy. I heard all about the cat houses and stuff like that. I know where you're coming from. So, at this point, in life, every once in a while, I do get an erection. And what I do when Ann is not around, I go down the subway, I buy a token, I stick it in the thing, and I go through, and I get rid of my erection. That's it.
That's great.
Well, anyway,
that's a great advice for the young people out there, the old people, everybody.
You keep the faith, kid.
Well, King of Queens, I don't know how this became a therapy session, but King of Queens, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. on CBS. Jerry, it's always a pleasure when you're here. Come back real soon, and congratulations on the new show.
Thank you.
Jerry Stiller, everybody. We'll take a break when we come back. Dr. Drew Pinsky and Adam Carolla will straighten this man out.